Japan has just unveiled a skyscraper that defies physics. It rises more than 1,000 feet above one of the most unstable cities on Earth, yet it barely moves. When earthquakes roll, it stands firm. When blackouts hit, its lights don't blink. When water systems fail, it feeds itself. This is not just a building, it's a living machine built for chaos. And deep inside, one audacious design decision makes it all possible, a secret even engineers can't fully agree on. The rise of Japan's impossible tower. Japan's newest skyscraper rises in the heart of Tokyo's Minato ward. It's called the Azabudai Hills Mori JP Tower, and it's so close to Tokyo Tower that the two now share the same skyline. This isn't just another skyscraper with an office logo at the top. When it officially opened on November 24, 2023, it became the centerpiece of an entirely new district, Azabudai Hills, a city within a city. The tower covers about 20 acres of land in the middle of Tokyo. Mori Building calls it a modern urban village, designed to be tall, compact, and comfortable for everyday life. Instead of spreading the city outward, they stacked it upward, leaving a generous amount of the ground open for parks, plazas, and tree-lined paths. There's a total of about 9 million square feet of floor space, including over 200,000 square feet of offices, more than 1,000 homes, a luxury hotel with 122 rooms, and close to 150 shops and restaurants. The main tower alone takes up roughly 5 million square feet of that total, and when every apartment, office, and storefront is filled, the neighborhood will host about 20,000 office workers, 3,500 residents, and as many as 30 million visitors each year. What sets it apart isn't just the glass or height, it's the green. Instead of treating greenery as decoration, the planners gave it space like a real park. About 6 acres of the site, 258,000 square feet, are dedicated to trees and gardens. At the heart sits the central green, a 1.5-acre lawn surrounded by low buildings, whose roofs blend into planted terraces. The design team filled the area with more than 300 different plant species, chosen so the landscape changes color and texture with every season. It's the kind of urban breathing room that Tokyo, one of the densest cities on Earth, rarely gets. Getting to this point was not a quick sprint, but a marathon that spanned over 30 years. The earliest talks with landowners date back to 1989, when the area was still a tangled grid of small plots and narrow alleys. It took nearly 3 decades of negotiations and planning reviews before the city finally approved the project in 2017. Construction began in August 2019, the steel frame topped out in April 2022, and the structure was completed by June 2023. When the public finally stepped inside that November, everything, from the stores to the museum to the hotel, opened almost in sync. The look of Azabudai Hills wasn't left to chance. The American architecture firm Pelly Clark and Partners, known for projects like the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, designed the 3 main skyscrapers, including the Mori JP Tower. British designer Thomas Heatherwick and his studio shaped the low-rise buildings at the base, turning roofs into walkways and weaving plants through terraces and walls. That mix, the clean vertical lines of Pelly's towers and the organic curves of Heatherwick's ground level, makes the entire district feel like one continuous landscape. At night, the tower becomes something else entirely. Its crown glows like a glass lotus, with 4 curved petals forming a soft outline against the dark. Thin light strips climb the tower's edges and meet at the top, giving it a calm, almost meditative profile. The lighting was handled by L'Observatoire International, the same firm behind many of the world's most elegant nightscapes. The result isn't a flashing beacon, but a quiet, dignified glow that marks the tower's presence without overwhelming the skyline. Inside the complex, the list of names reads like a who's who of global luxury and culture. At the very top, Aman, one of the world's most exclusive hotel brands, placed just 91 private residences, each priced in the tens of millions. Beneath that sits Yanu Tokyo, the first hotel from Aman's new sister brand, which opened in February 2024. The British School in Tokyo opened a large international campus there, filling classrooms with sunlight from floor-to-ceiling glass walls. Keio University built a preventive medicine center within the site. And for art lovers, Team Lab Borderless, Tokyo's world-famous digital art museum, reopened here after leaving Odaiba, drawing nightly crowds who fill the district's plazas with color and light. Put together, these tenants guarantee the place stays alive 24 hours a day. Office workers in the morning, families and students in the afternoon, and hotel guests and museum visitors deep into the night. But building something this tall in Tokyo isn't just a design challenge, it's an act of engineering courage. Japan sits on one of the most active tectonic zones in the world. The Great East Japan earthquake of 2011, which reached magnitude 9, sent waves of long-period shaking through skyscrapers hundreds of miles away. That slow swaying motion can make tall buildings rock for minutes even after the ground stops moving. A nightmare scenario for both occupants and engineers. To survive that kind of stress, the Mori JP Tower had to be more than beautiful. It had to be unshakable. The developers say it was designed so that even during a disaster on the scale of 2011, businesses inside could keep running. Geographically, the site is perfectly positioned between two of Mori Building's earlier triumphs, Roppongi Hills to the west and Toranomon Hills to the east. Behind the polished glass lies one of Japan's biggest construction collaborations. Shimizu Corporation, Sumitomo Mitsui Construction, and Obayashi Corporation, three of the country's heavyweight contractors, joined forces to handle the project. Together, they managed one of the most logistically complex construction sites in Japan. Tight streets, strict noise limits, limited staging space, and constant coordination with nearby residents. Yet they delivered the building in just over 4 years, from groundbreaking in August 2019 to full completion in June 2023. A remarkably fast timeline for something of this scale. Aesthetically, the tower strikes a rare balance. Its glass panels are a subtle pearl gray instead of a mirror finish, reflecting just enough of the sky to blend in rather than dominate it. The corners soften as the building rises, and the four-petal crown gently rounds off the top. As of late 2025, the Mori JP Tower still holds the national height record. But not for long. Another contender, the Torch Tower, is already on the way. Planned to reach around 1,260 feet, it's expected to open in 2028. Yet even when that moment comes, Azabudai Hills will remain something different. The Mori JP Tower wasn't designed just to be the tallest. It was designed to be the most livable, a full ecosystem of work, home, leisure, and culture, all in one vertical village. To understand how a 1,000-foot tower can stay calm while the ground rolls beneath it and the wind pushes from above, we'll have to open its skeleton and see the hidden systems that make stillness possible. The secret inside Tokyo's unshakable skyscraper. Deep beneath Tokyo's newest skyscraper, the real story begins. Not with glass or steel, but with the ground that holds it all up. Most very tall buildings in Japan stand on deep piles, long concrete shafts drilled down until they hit solid rock. That's because earthquakes here can make the upper layers of soil move like jelly, shaking buildings until they twist and crack. But this tower breaks that tradition. When engineers studied the site, they found an unusually strong layer of earth called the Kazusa Group, a thick bed of ancient, tightly packed sediment that has hardened over time into something almost as stiff as rock. So instead of driving hundreds of piles down through it, the engineers decided to do something bold, rest the entire skyscraper directly on that layer, using one enormous concrete slab to spread its weight evenly. Basically, they made the tower stand on strong ground with wide feet, not thin legs. That single design choice set the tone for the whole project. It was risky by local standards. Few super tall towers in Japan had ever tried it, but the data convinced the team it would work. To pull it off, they poured a colossal base slab about 16.5 feet thick, made of ultra-high-strength concrete. Imagine one giant block as big as a small building lying flat beneath the tower, pushing the weight down evenly across the soil. The idea works the same way a snowshoe keeps you from sinking. The same dense concrete mix used for the slab was also pumped into the hollow steel tubes that form the main columns, creating solid steel shells with rock-hard cores. Those tubes act like both armor and backbone, making the structure tough and stiff from the ground up. Before the first drop of that concrete was poured, crews had to dig deep, around 118 feet below street level, to carve out the 5 basement floors and the massive foundation pit. Excavating that far in the middle of Tokyo isn't just hard work, it's a balancing act. The moment you scoop out that much soil, the ground around it wants to move. Engineers constantly measured how the earth reacted, how it bounced, settled, and shifted, so the strong layer beneath wouldn't crack or weaken. With the base in place, the next question was how to keep a skyscraper this tall calm when the ground rolls or the wind hits hard. Tokyo's buildings face two enemies: earthquakes that shake from below and typhoons that shove from the side. The engineer's solution was what Japan calls response control. It fills the frame itself with devices that absorb, redirect, and smooth out motion, essentially giving the building its own internal shock absorbers. The first layer of this defense is an army of steel braces that act as built-in crash zones. They're called unbonded brace dampers, long diagonal steel members that look like X-shapes running between columns. When the building sways hard, the steel core in each brace bends in a controlled way, soaking up energy and sparing the main frame. It's the same principle as a car's crumple zone: sacrifice the cheap parts to save the expensive structure. In total, about 1,200 of these braces are hidden inside the Mori JP Tower. That number is staggering, but it tells you how much the engineers relied on this replaceable armor. After a strong quake, inspectors can check the braces and replace any that have yielded too far, long before the building itself is at risk. The second layer uses oil-filled dampers and thick control walls that act like hydraulic brakes. When the tower sways, these devices force oil through tiny openings, turning motion into heat. That friction burns off the energy that would otherwise make the building twist. Together with the steel braces, they form a two-step shield. Braces handle the big, fast shocks. Oil dampers handle slower rolling motions. These are the same kinds of systems used across Japan's high-rise skyline, but here they're stacked and tuned for a super tall frame, spread through multiple floors, so each set targets a different type of movement. Then there's the third layer, sitting high near the crown, a massive weight known as an active mass damper. There are giant pendulums inside towers like Taipei 101, swinging gently to balance the sway. This one takes that idea further. Instead of waiting for the building to move, it actively pushes back. Sensors watch for the smallest hint of motion, and motors shift a heavy steel block in the opposite direction. When the wind pushes, the damper pulls. When a small quake ripples through, the system reacts instantly, steadying the top before the motion grows. Visitors will never see it. They'll only notice how calm the top floors feel, even on windy days. Together, these layers form a coordinated system. The frame that ties all this together is a careful blend of materials chosen for both strength and flexibility. Steel beams allow for long, open spans and a lighter weight overall. Concrete-filled steel tubes form the vertical core, giving the columns tremendous strength. In areas that need extra stiffness or fire resistance, reinforced concrete takes over. All these choices didn't come out of nowhere. For decades, Japan has been refining response control through trial, error, and careful study of real earthquakes. Every major quake adds new data about which dampers work best and how frames perform. Recognition for this engineering soon followed. In 2024, the Skyscraper earned awards of excellence in both the 300 meters and above category and the Asia Regional category from the international tall building community. These weren't just marketing plaques, they were peer-reviewed honors, confirming that the structure's design and execution set a new standard for how to build safely in earthquake country. But a building that only stands still isn't enough. When the power lines fail and the city goes dark, what really counts is which places stay alive, and this one was built exactly for that. How this tower survives when Tokyo shuts down. When most people think of a skyscraper, they imagine steel, glass, and views that stretch for miles. But this one hides something far more ambitious under its feet. A working energy hub that treats the entire site like a small, self-sufficient city. Beneath the Azabudai Hills Mori JP Tower lies a power plant designed to make both electricity and heat at the same time. It also sends chilled and heated water through underground pipes to every building in the district. It's one central system doing the work of dozens of separate ones, feeding offices, homes, hotels, and shops with everything they need to stay running. That central energy center isn't just a backup plan, it's the beating heart of the neighborhood's daily life. Every watt of power, every degree of heating or cooling moves through that underground control room. And if a major disaster strikes, the system can flip into emergency mode. The developer designed it so that when Tokyo's main grid fails, this district can still power itself completely. Lights, cooling, and all. Huge generators can take over within minutes, keeping electricity and heat flowing across the entire 20-acre site. But what makes the energy hub even more remarkable is how smart it runs during normal days. It doesn't just sit there burning fuel. It constantly watches, learns, and adjusts. Artificial intelligence software monitors energy use across the district, how much power offices draw on weekday afternoons, when the hotel's laundry peaks, when families cook dinner, or when museum visitors flood in after lunch. It fine-tunes the system minute by minute, shifting loads to avoid waste and reduce strain on the grid. From the very start, the developer tied this system to a larger global promise. Every bit of electricity running through Azabudai Hills must come from renewable sources. The project joined the international initiative called RE100. short for renewable energy 100%. In practice, that means the electricity that feeds the site either comes directly from certified green power plants or is backed by contracts that prove its clean origin. It's about cutting the carbon footprint of one of the most energy-hungry types of developments on Earth, a dense, high-rise neighborhood in the middle of a megacity. Heat, though, is where this place really shows its ingenuity. Beneath every city runs a hidden river of warm water, not from nature, but from people. Wastewater flowing through sewers stays warmer than the air in winter and cooler than the air in summer. Most cities ignore it. Here, engineers turned it into an energy source. They installed systems that tap into that steady temperature and send it to the central plant, where heat pumps either extract warmth in winter or pull out coolness in summer. It's like borrowing free energy from the city's own underground veins. By using that sewage heat, the district slashes the need for traditional boilers and air chillers, cutting emissions and easing demand on Tokyo's overstretched grid. The same careful thinking extends to water. Instead of treating rain as waste, the district captures it. Water that lands on roofs and plazas drains into storage tanks, where it's filtered and reused to water the trees and gardens. During dry spells, those tanks reduce the draw on city water lines. Even wastewater from apartments gets a second life. It's treated and reused to flush toilets and office floors. The rule here is simple: save pure water for drinking and recycle the rest for everything else. In a disaster, when the city's supply might be limited, that loop system gives the neighborhood more independence. Even waste management fits into this circle of reuse. The developer has been pushing across all its properties to eliminate single-use plastics and boost recycling. At Azabudai Hills, they went a step further with what's called horizontal recycling. Instead of melting plastic down into lower-grade material, like turning a bottle into park benches, they remake it into products of the same quality, closing the loop without downgrading. That might sound like a small detail, but it adds up. When a crisis hits, less disposable plastic means less garbage piling up when sanitation systems are strained. Behind all these moves is one clear goal. After a worst-case earthquake, this place shouldn't just stand, it should function. It's not just technology that keeps people safe, it's space. In Tokyo, when the trains stop after a quake, tens of thousands of people can't get home. So the city requires big developments to provide shelter areas. At Azabudai Hills, that plan is huge. Roughly 65,000 square feet of open, reinforced space, able to hold about 3,600 people. Supplies and equipment are stored nearby, and because the site's own power and cooling systems can keep running, that shelter won't turn into a dark, airless hall. It can stay lit, ventilated, and safe while the rest of the city recovers. Here's what that looks like in practice after a big quake. Within seconds of an early warning alert, the district's energy center shifts into island mode. Generators spin up, batteries bridge the gap, and chillers push stored cold water to the refuge halls. Elevators switch to a safe pattern, bringing people to nearby floors, then dedicating a few cars for seniors, children, and medical staff. Automatic doors unlock to marked muster areas. Bright signs flip to an emergency layout in Japanese and English, guiding foot traffic to the large acceptance space. Staff wheel out first aid kits, blankets, and water dispensers. Phone charging benches come online, powered by the same backbone that keeps lights and fresh air steady. Kitchens pivot to simple hot meals made from shelf-stable stock. A small clinic corner checks injuries while radio repeaters keep security in touch, even if cell service is jammed. Portable toilets and gray water taps help shorten waiting times. Pets are routed to a side zone so families can stay together without crowding. Every few hours, screens cycle updates from city agencies and weather feeds. Drills turn this from a plan into muscle memory, so the routine feels calm, not chaotic. That same continuity runs through everyday life in the district. The British school campus in Azabudai Hills can keep classes going because the lights and elevators stay on. The medical clinic can keep its refrigerators cold and instruments powered. Families in the residential towers can boil water, charge phones, and check news updates even if the wider grid flickers. Office workers can keep servers running and meetings online because the power never stops. It's the advantage of having one big energy backbone feeding everything. Instead of a dozen small systems failing in different ways, a single strong one keeps the neighborhood steady. These layers of planning haven't gone unnoticed. Environmental and industry groups have given the district top marks for sustainability and health. The entire Azabudai Hills area earned the highest neighborhood-level certification under LEED&D, the international system for measuring green city design. The main tower's offices and shops achieved LEED Core and Shell certification, and inside the tower, the spaces reached WELL Core Platinum, a global standard that focuses on how buildings affect human health and comfort. The timeline of openings shows how all these systems came alive piece by piece. The Digital Art Museum Team Lab Borderless reopened here in February 2024, bringing daily crowds and giving the energy systems their first true stress test. A month later, the luxury hotel Janu Tokyo opened its doors, adding 24-hour operations, from kitchens and pools to spas and laundry, all connected to the same central plant. And by late 2025, the developer announced full completion with the final residential building finished. Mori Building doesn't run just one district. It operates several hills projects across Tokyo, each designed to be a resilient node. Together, they form a connected web of safe zones across the city. If trains shut down and people can't reach home, these nodes provide shelter, light, and stability. Azabudai Hills is simply the newest and most advanced of them. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.